Okay. Now that I've had some time to re-watch Rick and Morty Season 5, I want to discuss my thoughts on it, because I love Rick and Morty. I have seen the first 4 seasons about 4 times through, with me returning to the episode Total Rickall and the Pickle Rick episode more times than I can count. My point is, I am slightly obsessed with this show, and Dan Harmon as a creator. Not to mention the genius that is Justin Roiland. We'll get to Solar Opposites in another video though. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to discuss my thoughts on the episodes individually, then we will discuss my final thoughts on the season as a whole at the end of this video. Skip to this timestamp if you don't care about what I have to say about the individual episodes and just want to see what my season rating is. Let's get started. Episode 1. Mort Dinner Rick Andre. This episode was a pretty solid start to the season. I was pleasantly surprised since I wasn't that big of a fan of Season 4's first episode. I thought we were off to a pretty good start. I have always enjoyed how Rick and Morty creates random one-off characters that turn out to be excellent. Look at Mr. Noob from the Vindicators 3 episode.
Wow, so your origin is what? You fell into a vat of redundancy? God damn!
He says 2 words a handful of times, but somehow he's the highlight of that episode. Getting back to Mr. Nimbus though, I thought he was on par with other characters we've gotten in the past, and I was on board. Watching him control the cops was hilarious, and I love that he's Rick's nemesis for some reason. Damn, this episode makes me laugh. Oh yeah, the Morty story in this episode was also good. I thought having a dimension where time moves more quickly was an enjoyable way to tell a time travel story while not actually telling a time travel story. And I am all for episodes that show Morty coming into his own. Overall, we're off to a good start. Let's move on. Episode 2, Mortyplicity. Honestly, on the first watch, I thought this episode was alright. It was a little confusing, but nothing outside of the realm of what we've seen from Rick and Morty before. And after a rewatch, this is an episode I can see myself returning to again. There is another hilarious one-off character in the form of Mr. Always Wants to Be Hunted. Some people think he could be Mr. Poopy Butthole's species too, which could make for some really funny stuff down the road. Other than that, I feel this episode was decent. Not the best, not the worst, but somewhere in the middle. Episode 3, A Rickconvenient Mort. Now we're starting to get to the less good episodes. At least in my opinion. Well, I thought the Captain Planet kids eventually growing up was a cool concept on paper. It just didn't land for me. Alison Brie is always a welcome addition to the show, however. So that was nice. This episode wasn't anything terrible. I thought Planetina becoming kind of evil at the end was pretty funny.
Can't you hear the earth screaming? You filthy murderer!
Planetina, stop it!
There's only one solution for Earth pollution!
Oh my god, no!
And Morty dealing with heartbreak was a cool concept. Still, again, I just wasn't a massive fan of the execution on this episode. The B story was there.
Hey, she's the one that saved the world. Now we gotta go to work tomorrow. No, you fucker.
Episode 4, Rickdependence Spray. What is there to say about this episode that hasn't already been said? It's kind of gross, it's a little one note, and once the joke is told, it's sort of stale. I'll admit though, I laughed when Blazin went out like a chump instead of being the ultimate badass we all thought he was gonna be. This was probably the worst episode of the season, if not the whole show. However, this is a thing. Every season of Rick and Morty, a few episodes get the entire internet talking because they're fantastic. Like the as-aforementioned Pickle Rick episode. Then there are those episodes that make us question their motives for the story. Like the Dragon episode in Season 4. My point is, they can't all be winners. Episode 5, Amortycan Grickfitti. Yo, these titles are wild. This episode was a little better than episode 4. I actually thought the Hell Demons getting stoked over Jerry's cringe was pretty funny.
We love suffering. Therefore, we love hanging out with Jerry.
His lameness is our candy.
Yeah, I got that, but when is enough gonna be enough?
I also thought it was cool to see hell. Since Rick and Morty usually deny the existence of God, it was wild to see a supernatural world. I definitely thought it was a nice change of pace. Also, the Galactus Easter egg. And watching Rick's car have a personality of its own was a lot of fun. We've gotten hints at the car being intelligent before, but nothing to this extent, and I enjoyed it. Episode 6, Thanksploitation Spectacular.
Here, hold this while I crack the hermetic seal. Why not just use this again?
This was a decent episode. Not the worst, not the best, but somewhat enjoyable. If I'm honest, it's pretty forgettable. I did enjoy seeing Keith David return a few times as the president this season, and this episode really lets him shine. All in all, it was a fun episode. Again, I don't really have much to say about it. A decent filler episode, but not on the level of some of the best Rick and Morty has to offer. Episode 7, Gotron, Jerrysis, Rickvangelion. Another solid concept. I don't really like anime all that much, so it was fun to see Rick and Morty put their own spin on it. The Goodfellas Mafia thing was alright, but still, Community did it better. Watch my Community video after this. I will say my favorite part of this episode was the voice ovarians gag. I also enjoyed that Morty seemed to understand the voiceover stuff was going on, while Summer did not. Episode 8, Rickternal Friendshine of the Spotless Mort. This episode was on par with some of the best Rick and Morty episodes I've seen from this show. If you've watched a few of my videos, you probably know that I love meta commentary in shows. It's a big reason I like Community so much, and a big part of why I like Dan Harmon's work. So having this episode open with Rick calling his shot as the family is leaving.
Are you sure, Rick? I know a cruise doesn't sound like an adventure on paper, but you know, what does? It's paper. Morty, I'm trying to stay humble right now, but as soon as you guys are gone, the potential for a new Pickle Rick starts skyrocketing. Peace. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Was a really cool way to start and had me intrigued to see what was going to happen. Then of course, all the Bloodridge stuff and all the information we get about Bird Person and Rick's relationship. But my favorite part was definitely Rick teaming up with himself. We've seen a lot of versions of Rick throughout the history of this show, but none quite like this guy. Seeing an alternate version of Rick that wasn't as jaded by existence yet was a nice change of pace, and I welcomed it. Episode 9, Forgetting Sarick Mortshall. This was another episode I genuinely enjoyed. I think it had the best in-credit stinger of the season.
The red light usually means there's garbage. Look, I know it's not the job I came here for, but it's an honest living.
God damn it, Harold. What do they call you? Garbage goober? You are a doctor, for God's sake.
It was also, again, fascinating to see Morty stand on his own more. I like how he goes from dimension to dimension, just fixing Rick's messes. I thought it was a cool thing to see his character do. Morty showed a lot of growth in this season. After Rick is again a dick, he replaces Morty with two crows, leading to this line that made me laugh out loud.
Go ahead, do it. You guys look so rad. I deserve to go out this way.
Also, I love when the Portal Boys are wrecking Rick's garage. Jerry joins them and immediately becomes a puddle. Like, of course Jerry would become a puddle. The crows were also pretty fun, and then Rick and Morty did what it does best and makes me feel.
Okay, and what's the undercut?
You're not hearing me. I will never be the same. So I need to leave with the crows and see what more they can teach me.
Oh.
Here. I want you to have this.
Oh, wow,
The ending of this episode legitimately made me tear up on the first watch. Then Rick's rant about his new show, Rick and Two Crows, was pretty funny as well. Episode 10, Rickmurai Jack. Okay, there is a lot to unpack in this episode. The entire opening riffing on Samurai Jack is hilarious. I thought the crow scare bit was pretty funny. The part where one of the village people said,
He's anti-heroic, run!
Made me laugh. And the bit where Rick gives his crow horse free will and immediately it backfires was also pretty funny. Then we go to the Citadel. My God, there is so much going on in this episode. They go to the Citadel so they can de-age Morty, since he made himself like 40 to get Rick to stop going on adventures with the crows and come home. For some reason, it turns his skin pink. Then this just goes away randomly in the next scene. I think it's interesting because it's never brought up again, but it seems like a weird thing to do for just a gag. Then we find out that Rick has been controlling events and basically farming Mortys through the Citadel. Now, as I've said before in this video multiple times, I really enjoy seeing Morty grow into his own. I like the character that the internet has deemed Evil Morty, because I like seeing a confident Morty. And then the moment that Rick finds out about the portal gun being hacked, realizing who Morty President really is, I just love how Evil Morty responds.
Holy shit! I only know one man that ever hacked my portal gun, and it turned out it was Evil You.
Yay, he's all caught up.
But then we get this terrible dialogue scene, so I don't know. Then we find out what the central finite curve is immediately after finding out our Rick, C-137's whole backstory. They really didn't hold anything back. We finally get confirmation that his wife and Beth were both killed like we had seen in Season 3, Episode 1. Then we see our Rick going on a revenge kick, leading to him killing countless Ricks. It's never confirmed that he found the killer either, so I wonder if we will see more on that later in the upcoming seasons. Then Evil Morty explains the central finite curve, an infinite loop of Ricks being the only smartest man in the universe. However, we find out there are other universes, with other smartest men. So I'm interested to see how that'll be explored next season. But we really need to talk about Evil Morty. The line where he says,
And I'm leaving it. That's what makes me evil. Being sick of him.
gave me chills. This show has been leaning into Morty becoming more adult in the past season. I am excited to see if we will maybe get a solo Morty episode in the future. It could be based on Evil Morty having adventures. I think it could be a lot of fun. Overall, I thought this season was a solid entry into the series. Was it as good as it used to be? That's a good question. I believe many episodes in this season will hold up as episodes I return to. However, there were also some weak parts. It had some real highs and some really low lows, but it was still an improvement from Season 4. So I'll give it a 8 out of 10. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you made it this far and enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, and tap that bell. I'm out of here. Peace!